This is a 3D printer. Now, unlike any other 3D printer, this 3D printer has 3D printed parts. This 3D printer is of the Zone Star type. It's, to be more specific, it's a majestic Zone Star Z8. That was my interpretation of David Attenborough. It was terrible, I know. But anyway, let's just jump right into the video. What is up, makers? My name's Jack Daly, and in this video or episode, we are going to be talking about, in case you didn't notice, 3D printers. Look at this majestic beast, okay? We're going to be talking about 3D printers, what they are, what you can use them for, and just, you know, some little special thing during the middle of it. You know, it starts with C. It's collaboration. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about the process and everything. So let's just jump right in. So what is 3D printing? Well, 3D printing is additive manufacturing. So what that means is that it doesn't remove material like laser cutting, where, you know, the laser removes material. What it means is that it takes material and puts it on a bed, for example. This is the 3D printing bed, and in 3D printing, this means it does it layer by layer. Now, what material does it use? Well, it can use a pretty wide range of material, but the most common one is PLA and ABS. Now, ABS is made of like oils and stuff, so when you print it, it actually gives off fumes, so don't print it inside your bedroom. But PLA is most common. I actually have a reel on my printer at the moment, but that's what PLA is. So I recently got a 3D printer, and I built this one myself. This is the Zone Star Z8, and what this has is it has a heating bed. It has one nozzle, two fans on the hot end nozzle. Then it has 3 axes. So we've got Z axis, Y axis, and X axis. And this means it can print up and it can move around and stuff. In addition to this, it also has an extra motor here. And what this motor does is it takes PLA from this spool here, and it takes it in this tube, where then it goes in the hot end and the material is placed on the bed, where it is then cooled with different fans. But how can this be used in, for example, a hobby or in manufacturing? Well, quite simple. Because it's additive manufacturing, you can make complex parts that couldn't be made before with a CNC machine or a laser cutter. Hobby-wise, I mean, I have a 3D printer. So they're quite cheap. They're fairly cheap now, and you can also build 3D printers by getting them in a DIY kit. But how do you actually get a part and 3D print it? Well, that's what my friends over at GDL are now going to talk about in this next clip. So take it away.
Hi guys, we are GDL Now. Our Italian society was building up to bring the 3D printing at home of everyone. I'm Domenico, the founder of Society.
I'm Giuseppe, and I'm the co-founder of GDL Now. We are mechatronic experts, and we love 3D modeling and printing.
Our route started when we bought an Anet A8, the base for 3D printing, and we started to upgrade it. At the first, we downloaded the upgrade from internet, but after some days, we started to create ourselves objects.
The software that we use to make our 3D model is Fusion 360. To convert the STL file in a G-code, we use the slicer or Ultimaker, Cura. To learn which parameter used to print a model, we have done many trials.
This aspect is very important, because giving the right parameters, you have done the 50% of the work. For example, if you would do a mechanical piece, you should set the filling at a percentage over 50%. But if you would make a workpiece of design, you should set the 8 of layer at 0.1 mm and the speed at 20 mm per second.
In fact, the main parameters that you should set are 8 of layer, speed, filling, bed temperature, and extruder temperature.
Our project for this summer is to build a gimbal with other boys that will make the electronic parts and the app for the phone.
But our project for the future is open a shop in our city and a full e-commerce where we resell filaments and printers, and we will organize a workshop where we teach at everyone the world of 3D print.
That's it for today. We remember you of follow us on Instagram and YouTube to stay tuned with our project.
Have a nice day and we wish to see you again on our channel.
Bye!
Bye!
Firstly, what a great video. Thank you so much for sending that over. But they talked about a couple of softwares like Fusion 360 and Cura, and I'm just going to go in a little bit in depth in what those softwares and what they really are, and actually the whole process. On this book here that I've just done some planning, I've got this little diagram that I should show somewhere up here or somewhere on the screen, and so we're going to talk about how you can make something on the computer and then 3D print it. So the first thing you need to know is that you need a CAD software. Now what is CAD? It's computer-aided design. So now typical CAD softwares are Fusion 360, which is free, and SolidWorks, which is the one that I use. So in the CAD you actually make your object, which is whatever it is, making sure you stay in some parameters. So if you have overhangs, you obviously need support material. You want to save your file as a .stl file. And what this means is that you can then take it to the next stage where you open it with a slicer. Now what a slicer does is it gets your cube, for example, and it slices it into different layers, so then the 3D printer can interpret that and print it. This is called G-code. So when you put it in your slicer, which is Cura or Repetier host, your object is then sliced, turned into G-code, and then you put it on the printer. Now what the printer does is print it. It's quite simple, and then once it's printed you can take it out and there you have your product. Just some of the things that I've actually printed are this little Mario cube, this little wizard that was actually printed in 2 parts, glued together with super glue, sandpapered down and refined with files and sandpaper, and then actually spray painted with spray paint. Now to show precision, these 2 little objects were printed. So here we have a little ring that fits on my finger, and we also have a little tabletop miniature to obviously show how precise the little objects can go. So now all of these objects were 3D printed on my printer, refined with sandpaper and all that good stuff. But what can they actually be used for? Stated in my collaboration video with GDL Now, they were designing stuff on Fusion 360 for prototyping and then 3D printing. 3D printing is great for prototyping, but you gotta ask yourself, if you're gonna invest in one of these, they're quite expensive, but this one right here was a DIY kit. I recommend the ZoneStar Z8 or the Appreicate 8, which was mentioned in the GDL Now video. So for those of you with printers might be wondering on how to set your bed with a proximity sensor or how to do different things, I'll make future videos on them. But this was just an introduction to 3D printing and you know, the process. So that's all for today. Thank you so much GDL Now for joining me on this video. If you haven't already, go check them out on Instagram and YouTube. I'll leave their links in the description. Obviously, go check out me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, obviously you're on YouTube, but also go check me out on Facebook now. I've just opened up a Facebook page where I've also opened up, I know, a Facebook group. It's an enclosed group, so you guys can come on, I'll add you, and then you can ask as many questions you want, show your projects, and just join in the community.